Hey, we got another exciting episode. This episode is talking about parental involvement and the influence it has on students' physical and mental well-being. Hi, Dr. LaJoy. You okay today?
I'm doing good, Dr. Lorna, and I'm excited about this topic. I think it is an important topic that needs to be discussed, and I think that all educators have a pretty deep opinion about this topic, and hopefully we can reach some parents that can understand how their involvement with their child's uh, academics is so important to their well-being, both physically and mentally.
Okay, so what is parental involvement?
Okay, so I'm going to go on and read it directly from
Okay.
how they describe it. Parental involvement in education refers to the active, ongoing participation of a primary of the parent or a primary caregiver in their child's learning process. And they have decades of research that shows that strong partnerships between families and schools serves as a core pillar for a child's long-term academic success, emotional maturity, and social adaptability. So, when based on this research, this is what is found that the core academic and social benefits, you have higher academic performance when you have high parental involvement, when you're involved with your child, reduce absenteeism, which is a huge concern these days, improve classroom behavior, and increase graduation rates. Those are the four fundamental things that will happen when you are involved with your child's school, learning, both academically and emotionally. So
Hmm.
these are the things we're going to talk about today, and how parents can uh, probably, let's say, one thing that we noticed, even though this is so important, this is one thing also research has shown, is that there has been a decline in parental involvement with our students today. And it's not just in one demographic, it is across the country. I understand, and I'll go right into this, that
Hmm.
we have gotten into a world where we're very busy economically. A lot of our parents, they're working, you have both parents working, and sometimes both parents are working more than one job just to make the ends meet. And so it's difficult. They find it difficult, or they believe it's difficult to be as involved with their child and their school, but there are means for them to meet their child's being involved in today's digital world. And
Right.
I think we can discuss a couple of things and how this effect of them not being involved uh, and to prevent it and to help their child be more successful, both academically and emotionally. So, what are your thoughts on what I just said so far based on research?
Well, research, that's something that I love my stats. And it's true. Let's just be honest. We're now in a very digital world. So
Mhm.
actually, like we spoke before, there's no excuse because now as a parent, you
Mhm.
can access everything digitally. You can actually just say, hey, Dr. Gardner, we would love to meet with you. Can we do a FaceTime? Can we do a Zoom? Can we do Teams? Can we do Google? What can we do in order to have that conversation? Because we have to remember, I do understand they are at work. They have to work in order to make it. And nowadays it's very difficult for them to get off work because the bosses are more concerned with production than they are with people, and not all of them, but most. So, lunchtime, after school, after you get off work, during a 15-minute break, you don't have to be on there for 20, 40, 50 minutes. You just need to do a
Mhm.
quick check in. Look at the parents can look at Power School. They have all others that they can go online to see their grades.
Mhm.
And that's why one of the things that as an educator, I remember we always had to have two grades per week. So I had a parent that had notifications. So every time the grade went in, it immediately it popped up. And so she was looking like, wait a minute, this is a 50. She'll kick an email, okay, Dr. Randall or Miss Randall, what's going on? And so that's being involved. That child knows
Mhm.
mama's on it, daddy is on it, not playing. And so right now, the percentage is decreasing, and it kind of makes you wonder why. I don't
I,
get.
I do agree. I think back over. Okay, I'm going on finish wrapping up a third decade in education. Just to put it that way. I recall, and I started in education in the 90s. More parents were involved then when we did not have all of the technology we do have now. They did not have access to our grade books. We were still writing grades in that book with all the paper
The green
clips and
book,
trying to keep up that
that
you had to
green
turn in at the end of the
blue book.
year, at the end of every semester. We were still basically, and I mean, parents used to be up there, they were involved, they would visit classrooms, be at school events. They would contact me before I would ever have to contact them. Also, we've done everything we were told to do. You always set up that line of communication before something goes wrong, even just to say, hey, I just want to say Johnny is doing an amazing job. And that builds those relationships with your parents. But the
Mhm.
parents were so involved in. And I have seen over the almost last 30 years a decline in parents' involvement. And most of the time, even when Johnny gets in trouble these days, it's still hard to reach a parent and get them
Yeah,
involved.
that's true.
It,
That's true.
it's true, especially with the older kids. It seems
Yeah.
like as soon as a child hits about third grade these days, it used to be more towards, I would say, seventh. Now it's as early as third grade. You see less and less of parents involved, not coming to parent nights or report card pickup. You know, things we do just to check in and see what's going on. Meet your teacher night, which is, I know every school basically has some sort of meet the
Mhm.
teacher night at the beginning of the school year within the first 4 weeks of school, which
Yes.
is one of the most important nights of the school year to me, because that gives you the opportunity to walk in, meet your child's teachers, get to know them, build those relationships, and build that communication pathway that can be continued throughout the year. And also, once you get to know the parent and the child sees that the parent has got, they usually step back and say, you know what, I'm going to be a little bit careful how I move, in school because I don't.
Yeah, and they see that connection, and they
Yeah,
know about that connection, and they're like, "Oh man,
yeah. So
I'm
that's
with
the
you on that one. I'm with
okay.
you on that
Okay.
one." Because
Yes.
I want you had said something before.
Mm-hmm.
Elementary, and you said third, but usually up to fifth grade, that I've seen, they are
Okay.
fine. The first semester, the first 4 weeks, you're right. Meet the teacher. It's usually packed. It's usually pretty packed.
Mhm.
But then once you get to the second semester, that's when you can't find one of them. You're looking, the first semester, you have 3, 4 sheets filled with them signing in with the email address, everything. By January, you good to get 5. So it's like, what
Mm-hmm.
happened from August to January that you're now not wanting to either even come up there. They don't even want to visit. So my thing is visit, visit,
Yes.
see what's going on, especially if you know you haven't been up to the schools, you haven't received the emails. I'm sorry, not received. You haven't sent emails. Um,
Mhm.
that would help, especially when they're at the end saying why my child is failing. Oh,
Or why my child is not graduating when it comes to high school.
there you
I
go.
have I have experience where a parent, the child gets to their senior year and doesn't realize they've been failing since their freshman year, and the schools will document. The counselors have sent emails, teachers have sent emails, but there's no response. But then they get upset with the school and try to say, and I'm going to be honest, parents get mad at me, blame the school for that. But they have documentation and records because that's what we are expected to do. We keep logs even in the power school. I reached out to this parent on this day, no response. All of these documentations, but then it's
Okay.
okay. So, Lorna, those are my thoughts on that. With that situation with parents coming in and the communication and documentation of these things and being aware that the it is documented typically, and to realize that if you are more involved with your child, your student, you can prevent those things from occurring and support them in having a better future.
Mhm. Well, okay, so I know we're talking from the educator side. So
Mm-hmm.
now, as a parent,
I want
because
to talk from the parent side too.
yeah, well, on the parent side, no, and the reason why I say that is because one of the things I do know in one of our trainings that we had, the principal says some parents, when they come inside the building, may feel it intimidated because everybody in that building has a degree, has some type of formal education. Then most of them, if you really think about it, because here in Texas, your paraprofessional has to have at least 60 hours. Then you
Mm-hmm.
have your teachers and most likely your administrative assistants or your clerks, they have some type of degrees or some
Mm-hmm.
type of education. So a parent may come in if they do not have formal education higher than high school. They may feel, talked down on or, looked at disrespectfully. They may feel like, oh, you think you're this or that because you are a degree. Now, that's something that we trained on. My thing has always been this. I get that. As a parent, you walk in, you may feel intimidated. I don't know if all of them do, but you may come in, but come in. And,
Yeah.
a lot of parents also go on the past because they may have had some negative interactions with teachers when they were coming up. They may have
Okay.
had some.
That could be.
And
Yeah.
they need to also understand that just because you may have had a negative interaction doesn't mean all teachers are, are going to do anything or are going to present a harm or have any problems,
Mm-hmm.
with your child. We just, as educators, we want those children to come in, even if they're like, I'm not feeling this, we want at least the respect. The respect, just like parents want respect from us. Call them. We're supposed to be calling them 2, 3 times a month, maybe, not just for the negative, but also for the positive. You want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
ask questions. Do not show up. I get that maybe you having a hard time. I get that too. The school have provided different types of avenues that if you're hungry, if your child is hungry, we're there. We're going to make sure your child is taken care of, and we're going to go that extra mile and make sure that you are taken care of as a parent. However, I still need the parent to come in. I need them to have
Mm-hmm.
those questions, talk. And even if you walk in that building and you don't see somebody that look like you still walk in there and let them know that's my child. Don't play with my
Mm-hmm.
child. I won't play with you. You don't play with my child. But I also look at a parent to me. Don't automatically come down on the teacher. Talk, see where you can come with as together, and then talk to the child. The village is
Mm-hmm.
real, regardless of what the demographic, the village is real. We can
Mm-hmm.
come together. But what I'm noticing is a lot of the parents coming in are on 10. I'm like, okay, what we doing? And why we on 10 when it's your child?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. So when I look at, they say, look at both sides. I look at the parent, I'm a parent. When they call me about my son, I know my son. I know what he
Mm-hmm.
does at home. And I'm going to give a quick example. My son was in fourth grade and he was clowning. He said he wasn't, but he was clowning and he accidentally, playing with whatever kid he's playing with, he accidentally knocked what was it? A photograph down, the photograph.
Mhm.
It was in a frame. And so, and the teacher said that that frame was actually made by a former student. My heart broke. When she called to tell me what happened, I didn't immediately just take up for my son. I immediately asked questions. Okay, so
Yeah.
what was he doing? Why? I never asked her where she was because it kind of, to me, he was up playing. And knowing
Mhm.
him, he probably was up playing and wasn't really worrying about that teacher. But as soon as she called me, oh, straightened up, everything was fine. We got her a new frame, and he gave her a card that he wrote that he was sorry for his behavior and he would never repeat that behavior. And he was fine. But there was a conversation, and I didn't immediately jump down anybody's throat. I had to ask questions. And that's, to me as a parent, ask questions before you immediately jump on the teacher. What you think?
I, I have to completely agree with that because so many times it is not saying that the teacher isn't wrong or your child isn't wrong. It's
Mm-hmm.
always good to come in and see what's going on, get all the details you can before you just assume that your child, it's called the my child's an angel at home, and you don't realize what they're doing when they're not home. And that's why parental involvement is very important. That if you
Right.
are more involved in school, you won't have these surprise issues, or you might even prevent these surprise issues. And I'm going to put it as surprise issues because
Mm-hmm.
you are involved and you know what's going on with your child. And even if you cannot make it there physically, set up Zoom, Teams, Google Meets. It's so many ways. You can FaceTime from your phone. Even if you extend your telephone number to the teacher, your personal email, which we do get that information, but a lot of times parents don't even update that when it changes. And we're
Right.
sending emails to the wrong email, the old email, and then they don't know what's going on. That's why every year it's important to update your contact information.
Updated. Yes.
And
Updated.
what makes it easy is why not just send your information on your own? Say, hey, my name is LaJoy Gardner. This is my daughter. And this is how you can contact me if you have any concerns or if there's any information that you need to give me. Um, I think that that's just called common courtesy as a parent. And that's how I was, because I look
Mm-hmm.
at it this way. You have probably one child in that classroom. A lot of our teachers have, especially when you get into secondary, they have 140 plus kids.
Mm-hmm.
When you extend that line of communication, and I'm not saying make it easy on teachers, but it makes it easier on yourself as a parent because you
Mm-hmm.
started building that relationship, and the teacher will be happy to see it because they are busy with lesson plans and all the initiatives that they have to handle these days. I can see where they can become overwhelmed. But typically, I see teachers who are constantly trying to communicate with parents, and sometimes that communication has to focus more on the problem than the good. And I hate to say it that way because they have to
No.
get that under control in their classroom because that affects other students' learning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
them, just making that, especially if you know your child, and we know our children.
Yes. And my
Starting
son
that
was he was the most
communication.
naughtiest little guy. I mean, he was naughty. I'm not gonna say he wasn't. His mama wasn't perfect, and his dad wasn't perfect. His grandfather sure wasn't perfect, and his grandmother, OMG, my mom, my mama had a little naughty part, but it's not. I know the way a teacher handles behavior, it's going to be different the way I handle the behavior with my son. So one of the things that I would love for a parent to do is when they're talking, say, hey, this I know my son, I know my daughter, I know how they will behave, I know how they may try to talk back because they have that, quality. that quality. But this is what I suggest as a parent. I suggest this, do this, and if that doesn't work, do you? Uh, just don't put your hand on my child. Don't hurt my child. Just make sure keep me in
Yes.
contact. After school detention, morning detention,
Lunch
lunch
detention, which they
detention.
hate
Oh,
the
they
most.
hate that. Lunch detention. They got
Yes.
all kind of things that they need to do. So in my eyes,
Mhm.
that's something that that village needs to. They need to be able to
Yeah.
come together. I went on the United Negro College Fund, and
Okay.
they had it says partners in progress. I love that,
Yes.
partners in progress, and I feel like that's what when we talk about parental involvement and the effects of it on mental health and
Mhm.
students' well-being is because if that child knows that mama and daddy is got their back. But if
Mhm.
they're wrong, they're going to make sure they get them. They're
Yes.
going to talk to them. They're going to provide the punishment that is needed at home. And they're going to
Mhm.
work with the teachers and the administrators. They're going to do
Mhm.
that because they're going to want the best for their child. It's those
Yes.
parents who want to come on 10. Those are the ones I'm like, just talk to me. I'm not going to go, I promise you. I am the most givingest person. I will sit there and listen to you. Okay. And then I'm going to tell you the truth. And if your child all over the place, I'm going to tell you exactly what your child did. But these are some questions that I love. It says, key questions to ask at your child's school. Quality. Is my child getting a great education? How will you keep me informed about how my child is doing on a regular basis? How can we work
Mhm.
together if my child falls behind? Those are good questions. Is my child,
Yes, they are.
uh, huh? Yeah, is my
No.
child on grade level? Are they on track to being successful for the year and further? And
Mhm.
they said, great teachers. Is my child engaged and learning every day? That's a good question for a parent to tell their child. Because just think about it. You're sitting over there. Oh, okay. Okay, so how much time do teachers get to collaborate with one another? That's a good
Mhm.
question. What kind of professional development is available to teachers here? And if they also, I would love to hear a parent ask, are there any type of meetings that they need to be a part of beside the PTO or the PTA? Because they should have that too.
Yes.
Got a parent to come in. What can it, how much volunteering can a parent do? And they can ask
Yes.
those questions. What you
Mhm.
thinking?
I agree, especially with the volunteering. If they do have that little bit of time, I noticed that when they're the younger grades, you can, well, that's kind of dwindling away too. They would come in and volunteer, read books and stuff, especially when you got your kinder kids and stuff, but that's kind of going away. But I think that those are some amazing questions to ask so you can know how you can get involved with your child's school. Because being involved with your child's school is going to help you in the long run and your child to be successful. So
Mm-hmm.
that, and even if, being highly involved, that outcome, they've even related that to those who go off into trade schools or colleges or, going further beyond that 12th grade year into their post secondary education to prepare them for any career, career college or whatever avenue they go into. So that's why it's so important. And also, I think about we have a chronic absenteeism right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Yeah.
getting really bad. I've even seen some things where even as young as, and I found this was really shocking. You can get as young as kindergartners and learn how to wander off somewhere, which is a scary situation.
Yeah.
But you have to be involved to make sure your child is going to school, being present. Because a lot of the time, the reason why they're failing is because they're not even showing up for school and nobody's checking. Even though, and it really concerns me because I know that most schools even have an absenteeism reporting system that either sends an email or either it's a digital call to let you know your child missed this class period or was not in school from this time to this time, and parents do not even address them until it gets to a point where it's almost a point of no return is what we need to say. For example,
Right.
they're not graduating from high school, or they're going to be retained because of the absenteeism. So these are the reason why it is so important to consistently be involved, even if you're not showing up we're not saying show up every day in person, but constantly track your child's performance by hopping on daily, looking at their grades, look at the grade book, see if there's any messages in your email. If you change your email address, make sure you update that contact information with all of their teachers so they can know. So if there's any correspondence that needs to happen, they are capable of getting in contact with you before it gets to a point that your child usually goes where, oh gosh, I'm in trouble now, or either they're and I you hate to say it, they're in a situation where they're being sent home for a long-term situation, which can be
Mm-hmm.
which is rare, but it can happen because you don't know, kids can get into a lot of things between that time, especially if they don't show up, walk through that door in the morning with that absenteeism. We don't know where they're at. We're not sure. We do require that parents call in, but sometimes parents don't even call in and let us know their child won't be at school. We find out
Mm-hmm.
later after the fact instead of before the fact, where it becomes too late to acknowledge that this child is not here. And we need to look into why they're not here, especially when the parent is unaware that they're not at school. Yeah.
You had said you noticed that a parent watch their child go to the.
Oh gosh, it was in my neighborhood, and I thought that was so interesting. I actually saw a mother who walked their daughter up to the main street down from the school, and she stood and watched her daughter walk to school and go into the doors. So I'm not sure why. I don't know if the child had an issue before. This is in a neighborhood school because I don't even work in that district, but I just noticed it, because we on different times. And so,
Mm-hmm.
I'm, like where our spring breaks are different. And I noticed that, and I said, "Wow, that's interesting." She stood there, with her hands crossed, and just like, "Okay, I'm gonna make sure you go in those doors." And I was thinking, okay, now this parent is probably very involved because I can see this as being one of the parents. And I was thinking, kudos, mommy, because if there's a problem, it may not be a problem with her going to school. It may be, but whatever, the mom is taking that extra step to make sure her child is getting into those doors. And this was a middle school that I had passed, getting in those
Mm-hmm.
doors and getting that education she needs. And I'm pretty much sure mom is probably standing out there when she's coming home to make sure she's exiting those doors too. If she's standing out there looking early in the morning, this is before 8 o'clock or around 8 o'clock, I can only imagine that she's doing the same to make sure she's leaving those doors to come home. But that to me showed me that this is a parent that is concerned, is trying to make sure her daughter, and it was a girl, is making the right choices,
Making the right choice.
and
I
being
like
involved.
that. I like
Yeah.
that because it kind of reminds me of my mom. I remember when we were little, and we were right down the street from our elementary, and my mother would had my youngest brother because he was not school age yet, and she would
Hmm.
have him on her. He was a what they call it, a hip baby, and
Hmm.
she watched us walk down the street and and we came back with from school. She was there. She watched us going, and she watched us coming back. And that just reminded me because my mother worked at the elementary we were at, that we were attending
Uh-huh.
school. And what was funny was that I was like, oh, here she come again. Then she worked there, so they will be, we gonna tell your mama. Oh, she right down the hallway. And
Yeah.
all four of us, all four of us, we just like, oh no, here we go. And even in the middle schools, my mom was there. My dad attended the football games. My mom and dad was at the football games where at because I was in the band. So wherever I was, my dad and my mom was there. Same thing
Hmm.
when I went to high school. My dad made fun of me, but that was okay. It was just wonderful to see my parents up there. And so that's how I
Yeah.
was with my son. Every time my son was anything, I wanted to be there. I needed to be there.
Hmm.
So that's why I do understand we get busy. I understand life is lifing, but
Well,
children love to see their parents.
Yes, they do. And I know that we get busy, but I can talk as a from a parent point of view. As my daughters always said to me, "You're always in school," because I went through school. I got a bachelor's, two masters, and they got a doctorate. But I would be studying and writing, sitting at their games, carrying my books with me to be there, even though I had work to do because I was working a full time job, either teaching or I was in some other position in education that I had responsibility for, but I also was responsible for my child and being
Mm,
involved. So I would carry a backpack with me to their games because a lot of them, they were cheerleaders or either they did some volleyball or sports. And that was my way of still being present, but then still getting other things I had to get done.
right.
So I
Yeah.
understand where parents are busy. And I know you went through the same thing,
Yeah.
but a lot of
That's
us
why I
have to realize
laugh because your daughter sound like my son. Hey, here we go again.
here we go again. But you have to be there for that support. And then getting up to
Right.
the school when they have those parent nights, communicate with their teachers. Yes, it is a lot, but as parents, we have to figure out a way. And it goes back to when there's a means, there's a way. And that's just
Mhm.
creating a way where you create those communication channels with the teachers and everything. And I'm remembering even my daughters, especially my older ones, it was not my youngest one where it became more digital. We didn't have access to the power school and everything. We had to wait for progress reports and
Thank you.
we knew when those progress reports were coming out, and you were like, you better give it to me so I can see where you're at. So I need to know what I need to do. And they even had, we were more parent nights then because not only was it the initial meet the teacher night, you had progress report night, report card pickup night, and you did this over and over again 4 times a year. And it was
Yes.
crowded back then. But
Yes.
now,
Now
noticing
you can
that
find any
it's
kind of
not
parking space and not think twice. It's
high
like,
school. Yeah, high schools, you could have 2,000 kids, and it would be 10% of the parents show up in the whole parent night, like 200, if you're
yeah,
lucky. If you're
if you're
lucky,
lucky.
that's a low.
If you're lucky.
And they have, you have to try to figure out a way to get up there and see what's going on, and pay attention to your child's websites because sometimes they're not going to tell you. So get on the website, see what events are happening,
Mm,
and make plans so you can be there. And as you said earlier, create those lines of communication with their teachers. Even if you don't hear from the teacher you initiated, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of times,
right.
teachers respect that and they appreciate it that you open that
Right.
line of communication because it makes them feel like, oh, wow, I have a parent that's supporting me and their students' success. Me in
Yeah.
teaching their child and their child in being successful in my classroom. So.
I like that. And, that leads me into this last part. The United Negro College Fund has a toolkit, and I'm going to place it in the link. I
Okay.
mean, in the comment, I'm going to place the link in the comments. And
Mhm.
it talks about being a village where the parents are actually advocating for more Black teachers.
Mhm.
And I don't want anyone to believe that white teachers, Hispanic teachers, Asian teachers, any it's really just saying, just like when you go anywhere, when you see you, you tend to do a little better. And that's what they're
Mhm.
saying here. When children see themselves, when they see them there, when they
Uh-huh.
see they have a connection and they're like, hey, hi, I need some help. And the parents are the same way. When they see that Black teacher. If you're Black, you see that Black teacher. If you're Hispanic, you see that Hispanic teacher. If you're white, you see that white teacher. It's just gravitating. So you're so
Yeah.
happy to see yourself that you do well. So that is something that I like. And it talks about 70% of parents are very much a part of their children's life. And
Mhm.
especially when they see themselves there. If
Yes.
we can increase it, what doesn't matter what demographics you are, no matter where your community, just be a part of your child's life because there are things your children are doing out there that doesn't make sense. For example, I'll know that if my child was in school and they had a play showing slavery and how it's
Mhm.
conducted, and okay, my first question, excuse me, why are you there? Why are you participating?
Well,
So my
yes.
son knows. Knowing him, he would be the one saying, "No, we're going vice versa, and let me let you see how it feels." That's how he is. But at the end of the day, I believe when parents of all demographics, of all ethnic groups, all communities, if they come together and have a conversation, the kids literally do work together. The children like each other. And you're going, of course, you're going to have some personalities that clash. We know that, and it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But if that teacher knows that parent got their back,
Yes.
and knowing that they come together, they can actually elevate their child. And most,
Yes.
and I'm gonna give this. Most parents, I've had the majority of my parents actually enjoy coming and they work with us, they talk with us. We're coming
Mm-hmm.
up with a plan to ensure the success of their child. We are doing it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't want it to look like we are all on the parents saying they're not doing it. The majority of parents are. But we're just saying, as parents, but as an educator, as educators, just come together. It's a village, it's your child.
Yes. I agree.
And I like what you said. Access, we had parents had less access and they were there. Baby, they were
Yes.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Now these parents have all of this access. They literally, I mean, they can take their phones
Right in their pockets.
and they're there. I mean, they
Yes.
can get notifications. Okay, my child, I had a parent that was notified every time the grade hit that grade book, she got notified. And she was like, okay, oh, okay, 85, oh, okay. 73, ooh, I need to talk to him about that. Or whatever. Or she kick an email. I never forget her because she had me cracking up laughing. She kicked that email. Okay, why you only got a 73? And then I would
Uh,
tell her why. And oh, okay, is there tutorials? Yes, ma'am, there are tutorials. There are tutorials. And I
mm-hmm.
like that. That's and a lot of my parents did that. So I think that if parents just come together, if the parents and teachers and administrators come together, the children will be successful. And we won't have so much of the negative discipline. And the kids will love it. Their mental state will be great. No matter how much
Mm-hmm.
they say, I don't want my mama doing, I don't want my mom and daddy here. No, they really say, yeah, yeah. So
Oh.
it has to, but I'm gonna place that in there. But they talked about it. They advocate these teachers. They advocated for. I mean, these parents advocated for more black teachers because we got to remember, of black teachers. I mean, of you have all of these teachers. Black teachers only represent about 6%, and then remember we said men are 2%. So we do need
Yes.
to have that more there. And I do get it. They're like, well, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to be a black teacher in these schools. It is. If you're the only one there. It can be.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's for the kids. And we want all children to be successful. And the only way that can happen is if we come as a village. Mamas and daddies got to do their part too.
Yes,
Well,
they
we're
do.
almost done. We're done.
Okay.
What you got to
Okay.
say, girl?
Well, that was a good conversation. And the main thing I have to say is if you are a parent of a school age child, please get involved. If you are not involved, it's just simple steps. Build that line of communication, check in on your child, and support them in their education because in the long run, it will benefit you and your child the most.
Yeah. And the kids, their mental health is very important. And we have to
Yes.
elevate for their mental health. And the best way is
Mm-hmm.
for mama, daddy, teacher, administrator, cousin, sister, everybody has to be involved. And I love what you said. I'm going to always say that they have too much access to the child in the school. They have access to that child. Use that access. Get on. I love
Mm-hmm.
that. All right. Well, that's it
Yes.
for us today. And we see you next week.
Next week.
Yeah, we're going
Have
to
a
have
good.
Dr. LaKanya Nelson on next week. So we're going to
Okay.
keep going. Yeah, we got it, girl.
This is gonna be
Subscribe,
good.
people. We need subscribers. Subscribe, share, listen. Help us out. All right.
Yes. Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye. See you.